There are things happening around the Chargers that never show up on a scoreboard, never become major headlines, but absolutely change meeting rooms, depth charts, and roster decisions. Today, the read comes from inside the building. Who is gaining ground quietly? Who could become a trade piece? Which unlikely dream is still worth a phone call? And why those rookie offensive line reps say more than they seem to? That is where a season gets built. Before September, before the hype, before the cuts. So stay with me, subscribe to the channel, and let's step inside the Chargers building. It starts with a battle a lot of people are overlooking, but inside a roster, it matters a lot. Everybody is watching the left guard spot. Everybody is talking about the pass rush, about Bud Dupree, Kyle Kennard, Nadeem Tucker trying to climb the board, possible movement at safety, corner, and wide receiver. But in the middle of this defense, there is a hidden conversation that could become a very real surprise in Los Angeles. Marlowe Wax. The inside read is this. The Chargers brought Denzel Perryman back on a one-year, $2.8 million deal because it made sense. Perryman still brings presence, instincts, toughness, veteran voice, but he is also late in his career. Daiyan Henley is still a viable piece, especially on a rookie contract, even with some uneven production. After them, that room is not closed. It is open. And when a room is open, OT has become a live job interview. Junior Colson came in as a respected linebacker prospect, but he still has not turned that athletic profile into NFL production. He played only 32% of the defensive snaps as a rookie, then missed the entire 2025 campaign with a shoulder injury. Troy Dye is 29. Delshon Phillips is known more for his special teams value. So Wax is not staring at an impossible wall. He is staring at a narrow door, yes, but one that is unlocked. And why do I like this story? Because Wax already cleared a stage a lot of players never clear. He arrived as a UDFA in 2025, impressed quickly, made the roster out of camp, earned a special teams role, and got close to the coaching staff fast. He played only 4% of the defensive snaps as a rookie, but that number does not tell the most important part of the story. He survived the first filter. With Chris O'Leary running the defense, if Wax repeats a strong offseason cycle, he can stop being a footnote and become a real contributor. It is not flashy. It is roster building. It is the Chargers finding value where the rest of the league may not even be paying attention. And this next one is one of those conversations that sounds cold on paper, but inside a franchise, it is tough to face. Kimani Vidal could become a trade piece if the offensive fit starts pulling the roster in a different direction. Not because Vidal failed to show value. It is the opposite. He led the Chargers in 2025 with 643 rushing yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry, and proved he can handle volume when the team needs him. With Omarion Hampton out of the starting role for part of that stretch, Vidal started 10 games and showed he is not just another body at the bottom of the depth chart. He delivered real production. But roster decisions inside the building do not run on gratitude alone. They run on fit, contract, speed, role, and projection. Vidal turns 25 in August and has 1 year left on his deal. The Chargers signed Keaton Mitchell and brought in Mike McDaniel to run the offense, a coordinator who has historically valued speed at the skill spots. If Mitchell flashes that pre-ACL explosion, Vidal could slide to third in the pecking order. Then the internal question changes. Does he help more as insurance or as a trade asset? That is the part fans hate, but winning front offices have to discuss. A running back who has already shown he can carry a starter's workload has value to teams with backfield problems. If a team like Green Bay, or any team needing to strengthen a running back committee, offers a day 3 pick, Los Angeles has to at least weigh it. It is not about pushing Vidal out. It is about understanding that a roster is also resource management. I will defend one thing here. The Chargers cannot sell depth out of impatience. McDaniel may want more speed, yes, but an NFL season always demands Plan B, Plan C, the emergency plan. Vidal has already shown toughness, patience between the tackles, and the ability to take over when the structure needs him. That matters inside the building. So the read is more layered than simply trade him or keep him. If Mitchell really pops in practice, if Hampton is firm as the main piece, and if a real offer shows up, that conversation gets stronger. But if the price is too low, Los Angeles has to remember that offensive depth is not a luxury. It is protection for Herbert, protection for the schedule, and protection for a season that might be too big for small decisions. This one shifts the temperature, because it enters that NFL zone where the public stance says one thing, but market curiosity forces everybody to listen closely. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that the Browns are a hard no on trading Denzel Ward. Cleveland is not putting the cornerback in the shop window. But the question that matters for the Chargers is not whether it looks easy. It is whether the call is worth making. Because the league just reminded everybody of something. Firm positions can move when the context changes. Myles Garrett was treated like untouchable at different points too. And then the market showed that untouchable in the NFL sometimes just means expensive, complicated, and dependent on the right pressure. Ward is 29, still a massive secondary piece, and carries a $30.8 million cap hit in 2026. Does that scare you? Of course, but a big contract can also be reworked if there is a post-trade extension. Fair point. The Chargers are not desperate at cornerback. Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart showed up as mid-round values, and Dante Jackson became a much bigger find than a lot of people expected. So this is not a screaming hole where the team has to act just to survive. That is exactly why the inside angle is so interesting. Sometimes a good defense becomes a great one not because it patched a problem, but because it attacked an opportunity. Ward would raise the secondary in the short term. Stronger coverage gives the pass rush more time to get home. And when the pass rush gets home, the whole defense looks more aggressive, faster, and meaner on quarterbacks. I would not throw ridiculous capital at this. It does not make sense to tear up the draft board for a move that does not fully match the Chargers' recent operating style. But pick up the phone? Yes. Check the price? Yes. Find out whether Cleveland is truly closed off or just trying to control the story? Absolutely. Because if Los Angeles wants to compete at the top, it needs to know the price of big pieces when the market gets weird. Chargers community, tell me in the comments, would you make a run at Ward if the cost were controlled? Or would you trust the current group and save the ammunition? I look at this final story and see something that might seem small from the outside. But to me, it screams roster reshuffling. The Chargers are testing rookie offensive linemen at multiple spots, and that rarely happens without consequences. Jake Slaughter is the name leading the conversation because he was a second-round pick. He came with natural controversy, and he is already getting second-team center reps, according to Daniel Popper of The Athletic. And I have to say it, that catches my attention. The Chargers drafted Slaughter to play guard, even though he never played guard in college. Now he is also working at center. To some people, that might sound like confusion. To me, it sounds like the staff is trying to find out how much utility he has before locking in the line that will protect Justin Herbert. And it is not only Slaughter. Logan Taylor worked at both tackle and guard. Travis Burke worked at both tackle spots. Branson Taylor worked mainly at left tackle. Alex Harkey got reps at right guard. When I see that kind of distribution, I am not just thinking about May or June practice. I am thinking survival map. The player who can wear more than one role buys himself time. The player stuck at one position has to be really good there because the margin gets thin fast. The Chargers spent 4 of their 8 draft picks on offensive linemen. To me, that is a message the franchise does not have to shout. They want to reshape the interior. They want pieces that fit Mike McDaniel's offense. They want real options if a veteran does not deliver enough. Trey Pipkins, for example, could feel pressure if Travis Burke shows value as a swing backup. Logan Taylor could force his way into the roster fight if he convinces at guard and still offers flexibility. These reps are precious because deep down, every OTA snap is helping the staff decide who is a Sunday piece and who is just a camp number. On paper right now, I see Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt at tackle, Tyler Biadasz at center, and Cole Strange and Slaughter at guard. But the back end of the roster? That can turn chaotic. And in this case, chaos is not bad. It is competition. I like when a franchise creates healthy discomfort in the trenches. Herbert does not need pretty promises. He needs protection, communication, depth, and players who can adapt when the season starts hitting back. So I will be watching those reps closely, because sometimes the first major decision from a coaching staff does not show up in a huge signing. It shows up with a rookie getting practice work at an unexpected position, while somebody in the back of the room realizes his roster spot may not be as safe as it felt. In the end, the Chargers' day was not about one isolated bombshell. It was about signals. Marlowe Wax trying to turn internal trust into snaps. Kimani Vidal becoming a value, fit, and market debate. Denzel Ward showing up as that unlikely phone call an ambitious franchise has to consider. And the offensive line showing that Mike McDaniel and Jim Harbaugh are still testing limits before choosing who protects Herbert. For the fan base, the message is simple. Los Angeles is moving through the layers of the roster, not just the headlines. If you want to track every move from the inside, with real heat and no fluff, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come back for the next video.